Welcome to Stormin Chocolate. I'm Stormin Norman. Today's song is number 61, A Little More Love by Olivia Newton-John from her 1978 album, Totally Hot. Today's song comes from the second phase of Olivia Newton-John's career. The first phase was very much the softer, wider-reaching, adult contemporary pop genre, where a lot of the tunes were about longing. The second phase was more adult, more centered around the wants and needs of a woman, and could be seen as post-sexual awakening. The turning point was easy to spot for those of us who lived through it, and it was the film adaptation of the musical Grease, which paired her with John Travolta as her love interest. Warning, spoiler alert. And this is the only warning you're going to get. Newton-John burst onto the scene in late 1971, early 72 with her debut album, If Not For You, and its title song, which hit number 1 on the U.S. Adult Contemporary chart. Even with the single's help, the album only reached number 14 in her home country of Oz and number 158 on Billboard's 200. Many of the album's songs were covers, such as Me and Bobby McGee, written by Chris Christopherson and Fred Forster and made famous by Janis Joplin, and If You Could Read My Mind, written by Gordon Lightfoot. Both Chris and Gordon also recorded and released their own renditions, but you can see how Newton-John covering them for the Australian market would make sense. She had a string of chart-topping hits for the next 6 years until Grease exploded in 1978. The denouement of the musical is where good girl Sandy, played by Newton-John in the movie, falls for high school bad boy Danny during summer break at the beach, where Danny was kind of in disguise and was seen as approachable by Sandy. This is explained in the song Summer Nights. Cut to Danny returning for his senior year of high school, getting shocked at the appearance of Sandy, whose folks had moved to the area and she transferred in. Sandy is still enamored of Danny, and so Danny has to hide his grease monkey punk persona, well, punk for the 50s, in order to continue wooing Sandy. In the end, Danny decides to go straight and ends up lettering in track to the amazement of his friends. However, Sandy has chosen the opposite tack, becoming, or at least trying to act the part of, a punk's doll, with a curly perm, leather pants, and heels. This is all explained in the penultimate song of the film, You're the One That I Want, where Sandy explains what she needs from him, and he agrees that he better shape up. From this point forward, Olivia Newton-John is chock full of hotness, as her next studio album, Totally Hot, exemplifies. But let's go back a little bit, since this is our first look at her. Dame Olivia Newton-John was born almost exactly 13 years before me, 3 years after the end of World War II, to Bryn Newton-John and Irene born in Cambridge, UK. Bryn was born and raised in Wales to parents Oliver John and Daisy Newton, hence the origin of Olivia's hyphenated surname. Bryn spent much of his time as a university administrator both in England and Australia, to which he emigrated his family in 1954. But Bryn was also a character. He earned a scholarship to college in Cambridge, where he received a double first in French and German. Keep that in mind, receiving his master's in 1939. He was commissioned into the RAF, which means he came in as an officer, and because of his fluency in German, was drafted into intelligence work at MI5. He was amongst the team at Bletchley Park working to crack Enigma, and it is said that he helped in the capture and arrest of Hitler's deputy Führer, Rudolf Hess in 1941, who had flown alone to Scotland to open peace discussions with the Duke of Hamilton, a fellow aviator, to help convince Churchill to let Hitler have Europe. Not to be outdone, Bryn's wife and Olivia's mother was from the Born clan of Germany, and most notably, Irene was the daughter of Max Born. To add a little context to the Nobel Prize-winning career of Max Born, among his PhD students was Robert Oppenheimer. Among his assistants at the University of Göttingen were Enrico Fermi, Werner Heisenberg, Wolfgang Pauli, and Edward Teller. He was a close friend of Albert Einstein. Max eventually accepted a position at Cambridge University in 1933 upon the rise of the Nazis. Anyway, what were we talking about?
Names, a lot of them.
Oh yeah, Olivia Newton-John. So old Bryn moved the family to Melbourne, Australia in 1954, where he became master of Ormond College. Unfortunately, Bryn's scandalous divorce from Irene in 1958 ended his tenure at Ormond, and both parents thus moved out of this narrative. Olivia's oldest sibling, Rona, was married 3 times just like her dad. Oops, I said he was gone from this narrative. Rona's first marriage produced a music producer's son and a singer-actress daughter, and her second marriage produced a race car driver. Her third marriage was to actor Jeff Conway, best known for the U.S. sitcom Taxi and Anyone? Being Danny's best friend in the film adaptation Grease. That deep cut makes it all worthwhile. We'll get to more of Olivia's pop history when we cover songs like Let Me Be There, and we'll talk more about Grease and its hits. But let's continue the wave that Grease started and get totally hot. Released in 1978, it was her first top 10 album on the Billboard 200 chart since 1975's Have You Never Been Mellow. Now that might not seem like a long time, 3 years, but she had signed with MCA Records to produce 4 albums in 2 years. And if she didn't deliver, MCA could extend the 2 album per year requirement until she caught up. What was this, the 60s? Anyway, her 4th album was late, and they traded lawsuits, and that's just too messy to go into here. Totally Hot became Olivia's first platinum album in the US, selling over 1 million albums, and platinum in Canada and gold in both the Netherlands and UK. Today's song, A Little More Love, was the lead single, followed by Totally Hot in the EU and Deeper in the Night in the US. A Little More Love was written by her longtime collaborator and producer, John Farrar. Mostly gone from the album are the country leanings and mellow ballads, although there are a couple. A Little More Love, though, has a driving, incessant beat, starting with drums and bass with guitar hits at the end of the bars. For the verses, Olivia's voice is in her lowest register. Not exactly husky, but as husky as she can get, and the lyrics explain the sitch.
Night is dragging her feet. I wait alone in the heat. I know that you'll have your way till you have to go home. No is a word I can't say, 'cause it gets me nowhere to tell you no, and it gets me nowhere to make you go. Will a little more love make you stop depending? Will a little more love bring a happy ending? Will a little more love make it right? Will a little more love make it right?
I simply love the wording and the way the lyrics weave up and down. And the key to me is the phrase split between the end of the verse and the start of the chorus. No's a word I can't say 'cause it gets me nowhere. Here's a woman stuck between her desires and hopes for a relationship and the likelihood that the pressure she's feeling is simply to rut. But she's feeling her resolve soften and hoping that making love will make it right, make him more dependent and less flighty. She can see through him, but she can't help herself.
Where did my innocence go? I was a young girl, you know. I'm trapped in the spell of your eyes, in the warmth of your arms, in the web of your lies. But it gets me nowhere to tell you no, and it gets me nowhere to make you go. Will a little more love make you stop depending? Will a little more love bring a happy ending? Will a little more love make it right? Will a little more love make it right? Gets me nowhere.
The song ends on 3 iterations of the chorus, but each iteration is slightly different as she sings the 2 lines of "Will a little more love make you start depending?" and "Will a little more love bring a happy ending?" in different sequences of notes. Makes the repetition a little more interesting. And it's only a 3.5-minute song. But you can see the reason for the exposition, the explanation of the point of change during Grease that's explored again immediately afterward in her next album and single, "Where Did My Innocence Go?" Indeed. And there is power in her voice, something that was not present before the change and only slightly hinted at in Grease. A Little More Love hit the top 5 in 7 countries and the top 10 in 3 additional. The single sold over 1 million copies in the US, a quarter of that in the UK, and over 75,000 in Canada. Her follow-up US single, Deeper in the Night, did fairly well in the US, hitting the top spot on the US AC chart and peaking just outside the top 10 on the Billboard 100. And her next solo studio album would be even hotter. In addition to the album cut, there's a link to the music video. Of significance, according to IMDb, Steve Lukather and David Hungate of Toto fame can be seen playing guitar and bass, respectively. While it does look like Lukather on guitar, the bassist doesn't look like Hungate. If you want to correct me, please do so in the comments. Oh, and that goof on the keyboards is Jai Winding. Well, that's it for Olivia Newton-John's A Little More Love from her 1978 album Totally Hot. Next time, we'll let you have a cigar with Pink Floyd, who wish you were here. We'll see you then. Bye-bye. Welcome to Stormin Chocolate.
No, you did.
What?
You did the what with Stormin Chocolate?
That's what it says on there.
Woman to Stormin Chocolate?
Today's song is number 61, A Little More Love by Olivia Newton-John from her 1978 album. As soon as I do the first one wrong, it kind of like snowballs that I'm nervous that I'm going to get caught, and then I screw up again and it gets bigger and bigger. Many of the albums were covers, such as Hurry Up, Oliver John, and Daisy Newton, hence the Olivia Newton. So many words. Go back. Hence the origin of
Elitist Newton-John?
Yeah. God, so many words. Where do they all come from? Dame Olivia Newton-John was born almost exactly...
No, you have to space that out.
Space what out?
You said Dame Olivia Newton-John.
But it's going past the thing. He spent much of his time in a university...
What?
I said he spent. Actually, that's what it was, but it was messed up. And it's said that he helped capture. Go back. And it's said that he helped I think I'm screwing up the sentence before. Among his PhD students was
What?
Go back. Career of Max Born. Among his PhD students. It's going to get worse. Olivia's Olivia Newton-John. Olivia's oldest sibling, Roma, was married. It's Rona, not Roma. Olivia Newton-John. Unfortunately, Bryn's scandalous.
Oh, you probably should redo that anyway. You were matching stuff together.
Olivia Newton-John, best known for the U.S. sitcom Taxi and anyone that being totally hot because Olivia's. Oh, that should be became. Change that. Totally hot became. It's amazing how many times autocorrect changes an incorrect became into because.
Totally hot because, not so.
Totally hot became.